Well, as you see, once again, we're hard at work here in the New Sonic Video Studios, preparing the Fulham Goals of the Season video for 1990-91. Hello and welcome. My name's Phil Myson, and let's look back over the last 9 months and bring you all the goals from Craven Cottage, plus some very special goals away from home as well. Not to dwell too much on the last 9 months, but it was a fairly traumatic season by Fulham standards, escaping the drop for the second season running, and that really thanks to the Football League decision to reinstate 22 clubs to the top flight. It meant that 24 would play in the second division, and so just 3 exited from the third down into the fourth. Had it been 4 clubs going down as it was 12 months ago, then I'm afraid Fulham would have been in the fourth division for the first time in their history. As it was, we said bye-bye to Rotherham, to Mansfield and to Crewe, and thankfully Fulham saved to fight again another day. However, not to depress you too much, let's go back to the start of last season, and we'll begin with the away fixture at Crewe, and coming up, a chance now to sit back, forget all the misery and the low points of the 1990-91 season, and enjoy some very special and some much appreciated Fulham goals. Once again, the Fulham video, the goals of the season for 1990-91. Well, Fulham's season getting off to a reasonable start with a 1-1 draw against Crewe Alexandra at Gresty Road. A fine second-half equaliser here driven in by Johnny Marshall from the tightest of angles, giving Fulham a point in a 1-1 draw on day one of the new season. Moving forward to midweek action against Peterborough United. This is the Rumbelows Cup, first round, first leg at Craven Cottage. 5 minutes gone in the first half. A wonderful defence-splitting pass from Mark Newson puts in Pike. His shot beaten away by the keeper. But before Peterborough can reorganise, a Peter Scott follow-up comes back off the underside of the bar, and Francis Joseph gives Fulham the lead. Francis converting that rebound for his first and only goal in a Fulham shirt. Well, it gave Fulham the lead. It wasn't to last as Peterborough came back to win that tie 2-1, and the second leg as well by 2-0. The first home league encounter for Fulham fans saw newly promoted Cambridge United come to the cottage, and certainly few would have thought they would be going up to the second division at the very first try. However, on the afternoon it was Fulham with very few chances, giving second best to John Beck's men, going down by 2-0. Steve Milton there with really the only chance Fulham had of note in the match. So that disappointment led to another away fixture where Fulham were desperately unlucky not to pick up all 3 points. We apologise for the lack of sound here from our colleagues at Gay Meadow. This a penalty then to Fulham in the second half. They're a goal down. Davis had been felled for the spot kick. The keeper parries against the inside of the post. Martin Pike follows up, however, to bring the sides level. Well, Fulham continuing to press and following fine build-up here involving Gary Brazil, Baker, and then Mark Kelly on the ball, the man who'd arrived from Cardiff City in the close season. He provides the cross for Kelly Haag to head his first ever goal for Fulham. Shrewsbury equalising near the end as that one finished 2-2. And now we move forward to the visit of Huddersfield Town. Well, despite having the majority of the play again, it was Fulham who just could not find the back of the net. It was a Jeff Eckhart header coming back from the post in the first half. 5 minutes before half-time, a brilliant Stannard save there at the sides level. And right on half-time, it's Gary Brazil at the other end who once again strikes the woodwork. So Fulham having no luck at all in the first 45 minutes. And Fulham continuing where they'd left off into the second half. Here's Kelly Haag once again, breaking free on a left foot shot. That's easy for the keeper. Jim Stannard, who'd started the season on the transfer list, was back in for the visit to Shrewsbury after Lawrence Batty had had a couple of run-outs. And then this scene as Kelly Haag is brought down A lovely overhead pass from Gary Brazil, putting the youngster in, who'd arrived from Brentford in the close season. I wonder if they're going to rue letting young Kelly go. So it's a penalty, a chance for Gary Brazil, and the keeper pulls off a brilliant save as he deflects the ball over the bar, and still Fulham cannot get off the mark. From the resulting corner, Kelly Haig once again thwarted by another brilliant save, and this was clearly not going to be Fulham's afternoon. Fulham 0, Huddersfield Town 0, that was the final score. And now it's the visit of Wigan Athletic, always tricky customers, Wigan in the familiar blue shirts. But Glenn Thomas giving Fulham hope of salvaging something and slotting home an equaliser there early in the first half. Fulham, don't forget, at this stage, still looking for their first win of the season. A Gary Brazil left wing corner, flicked on for Mark Newson to head straight at the keeper. But I'm afraid it was another defeat, as Wigan won with a goal in the second half. And so more midweek action now brings us to the fixture against Birmingham City. And Leroy Rosignol had arrived to bolster the attack on loan from West Ham United. Fulham clearly looking for more firepower up front, and here's Gary Brazil, a shot deflected from the unfortunate defender, and Fulham have a goal at the Cottage. And Leroy Rosignol there back in a white shirt, and that certainly helped bolster the gate. Plenty of Fulham fans happy to see his inclusion in the side. So, with Leroy back in the attack, Fulham certainly having more options. And that Gary Brazil goal after 15 minutes was the difference between the two sides. And there's another effort from Mark Newson, which comes back from the post. The referee right on the spot waving play on. Now, it's a header from Leroy Rosignol 6 minutes from time, after Birmingham had got back into the match and had led 2-1, which gave Fulham another point. But still, I'm afraid, looking for that elusive first win. And a fine headed goal from Rosignol there from Gary Cobb's cross. And another new signing welcome to the Fulham ranks, Stacey North, as we move forward now to the beginning of October and the visit of Rotherham. Not surprisingly, Fulham, after their abysmal opening sequence, down at the bottom of the table. Would things come right against fellow strugglers Rotherham? Well, Stacey North has signed from West Brom to plug some holes at the back, and up front, Fulham making a lively start with Gordon Davis back in tandem. Alongside him, Leroy Rosignol. We all remember the successful partnership they built up a couple of seasons ago when Fulham finished high up in the third division. And there's Davis and Rosignol linking, as they had done of old, and Rosignol putting the ball home after just 4 minutes play. 21 minutes gone in the first half, and it's 2-0, and the Rosignol-Davis double act is back to its best. Gordon Davis celebrating another goal in a Fulham shirt as he moves ever closer towards that Bedford Jesuit all-time league goal-scoring record. Well, Stacey North trying to make a big impact on his home debut, and in the first half it was all Fulham. They led by 2-0 at the break, and this certainly was far and away the best Fulham performance we'd seen so far in the new season, as Leroy Rosignol tries his luck with a right foot curler from all of 20 yards. Kelly Haig coming on then near the end for a tiring Gordon Davis, and from this corner it's a Mark Newson shot we'll see there, which is charged down on the 6-yard line as Rotherham once again live dangerously. But an impressive debut for the new boy Stacey North, and Fulham fans hoping that with Leroy back in the side, would his loan spell from West Ham be made permanent, and were Fulham at last about to turn the corner. Their first win of the new season, beating Rotherham by 2-0. Now our thanks to Swansea Football Club for these pictures and the commentary from the match at Vetchfield.
So North takes the throw in. gone in there. Bracey goes for it, and it's just over the top from Rossigna. Bracey. So North lays the ball forward. Gordon Davis flicks it on. Rossigna has a go and just right. Take the throw in. Leg throws it in. It's aimed at Gilligan. Gilligan traps it and has a shot. Beautiful play by Stannard. That was a cracking shot by Gilligan. It was just going inside the far post. And Stannard dives and takes it one-handed past the post. Forward. Rossigna running onto it. Rossigna has a go. Bracey knocks it down. It's come out. And that's just wide by Gary Brazil. That's going to be a corner to Fulham. Outside. Newton knocks it inside. Rossigna with the ball on the edge of the penalty area. Knocks it. Milton. And that's a great attempt there by Martin Byrne. He got in a great space in the area, but he just put it wide from a ball over on the far side by Steve Milton. So it's Newton who lays the ball in. Rossigna jumps high, knocks it down, and it's gone in there. And that was a great save there by Bracey from Davis. Clears it, but only as far as Davis. Davis on his left foot, he goes past, and that's ball down, and it's a penalty to Fulham. And it's a penalty to Fulham with only one and a half minutes gone in the second half. Comes up and it's there, and he hit it well into the top right hand corner of the goal, top right hand corner of Lee Bracey's goal, and that brings the score back to 2-1 as we just started the second half. Across the ball, Leyland coming back, and Newton lays the ball across. Rossigna jumps up and it's hit the post, and Davis puts it in. There's the equaliser, Gordon Davis. Rossigna headed it, went past Bracey, went off the edge of the post, and Davis knocked it in from almost on the line.
So a good battling performance to come from behind and pick up a point at Swansea, and a very special goal that as well for Gordon Davis, of course. Need we tell you more? So Fulham hoping to keep it going here against Bury, midweek action, and certainly it looked at this stage in the season as if it wouldn't be long before Fulham were climbing towards safety and a position in the middle of the table. After a goalless first half, Brazil's free kick and Fulham's first headed home by Newson, and the second coming after a long throw from the enclosure side of the ground taken by Stacey North. He was to prove himself to be quite a handful with those long throws over the course of the season, and although the camera focusing in on Simon Morgan there, another Fulham new boy, it was in fact an own goal credited to Alan Knill of Bury that saw Fulham now leading by 2-0. This, of course, saw a return to the cottage of former Fulham favourite Ronnie Mauger there with a header before that follow-up effort is pounced on by Jim Stannard. Ronnie, who'd made a brilliant start to his career with Bury in the 3rd Division at Gig Lane, and there were many Fulham fans who were sorry to see him leave the cottage in the summer. A real chance for Rossigna to wrap it up near the end, 1-on-1 with the keeper, but the result remained. It was Fulham 2, Bury 0, and another welcome 3 points. Now perhaps one of the more exciting matches from the first half of the season. At the end of October, Fulham against Exeter City, another one of the promoted sides. Martin Pike, we know how dangerous he can be from set pieces there in the first half with a shot that goes in off the post. Springing the Exeter offside trap as we move into the second, the unmistakable figure of Gordon Davis. How many times have we seen him do that at the Hammersmith end of the ground? And there's another one for the record books. Gordon on the mark in the second half against Exeter. Well, here's the Exeter substitute, not actually managing to get on the pitch before being sent off for remarks he made to the match officials. Exeter had had their feathers ruffled. They felt Davis was offside as he latched onto Skinner's pass for that equaliser. But Fulham had now taken command of the match. Here's Martin Pike looking for Davis once again. Rosinia lurking at the back of the box. And then the keeper nearly fumbling in front of that man Gordon Davis, goal poaching of course from a couple of yards out. Good battling run by Kelly. Squares the ball to Davis, who tees it up, foxes the keeper and the defence, and that proved to be the winner in a 5-goal thriller. Davis takes the salute of fans and fellow colleagues alike, and it's a great afternoon at the Cottage at the end of October, which sees Fulham beating Exeter City by 3-2. For many people, the highlight of the first half of the season, and once again a special mention for Ivor Davis for 2 priceless goals. FA Cup action now as we move towards winter. Fulham against non-league Farnborough Town, and what on paper we all thought might just be a goal feast to really put some confidence into the side. And Farnborough from the Beezer Homes League proving to be more than a match for their 3rd Division opposition at Craven Cottage on the afternoon. Fulham buzzing in the first half. Martin Pike with a long-range effort. However, Fulham pressure paying off after 20 minutes. It's a corner taken by Brazil on the far side. Farnborough get the ball away only as far as Skinner. Here's Pike, and he lashes a right footer beyond the keeper into the top corner. And once again, Martin Pike proving his value by adding 1 or 2 highly important goals from his position at left back. Can also, of course, play in midfield and was being tried at times as a winger with the sale of Clive Walker in the summer to Brighton. Moving forward now to the second half, Fulham looking for the second that would, they hope, make the game safe. Gary Brazil effort is charged down. The referee waves aside any appeals for a penalty. See the number of white shirts up supporting this attack. Simon Morgan, Martin Pike, a typically strong run to the byline from Pike. The keeper can only flail at the ball, and still they haven't got it away, and then back off the post as Farnborough live dangerously. Non-stop pressure now, and Peter Scott it was there with an effort that came back from the post. The corner swung in underneath the crossbar, testing the Farnborough keeper. Pike keeps up the pressure, and once again the visitors' keeper having an afternoon to remember. Mark Newson that time unlucky not to get on the score sheet. But a goal surely had to come, and it came about in a surprising fashion really. There were 3 minutes remaining. High ball pumped into the box, and Peter Scott certainly didn't appear to be any discernible foul there, but an offence spotted by the referee. He said it was for handling, and from the spot kick Gary Brazil makes no mistake. And so Farnborough, who put up a great fight, eventually going down by 2-1 Fulham into the second round of the FA Cup. Formidable opposition here from high-flying Tranmere Rovers in the claret and blue. But Fulham were unbeaten in 5 home matches, and hoping their good form would continue here against Tranmere. We're in the first half. There's no score. And there might well have been there. And that was a great effort that really could have put Fulham ahead against a side who were in fact to go through the playoffs and make it into the second division at the end of the 9-month season. But never mind, high-flying Tranmere really being put under all sorts of pressure here in the first half. And needless to say, Gordon Davis is instrumental in much of Fulham's attacking play in and around the box. There he is again. Never mind the approaching years, Ivor still looking good for a few more goals in a Fulham shirt. And that indeed is exactly how it turned out at the start of the second half. The goal surely had to come. And Fulham really carving the Rovers' defence apart at times. And Ivor Davis in this match alone could have had another hat-trick. However, it was Tranmere winning that one by 2-1. So another defeat, still leaving Fulham perilously close to the bottom of the table. A chance to forget about those League Blues for a second as we switch to the Leyland DAF competition and the visit of near neighbours Brentford. Well, we were treated to a memorable display of goalkeeping on the night by Graham Benstead, voted Brentford's Player of the Season by their supporters, and these are just some of the reasons why. A tremendous signing for Phil Holder's men for £60,000, proving himself to be one of the goalkeeping finds of the third division. First he denies Newson, and then on loan striker Philip Gray from Spurs. And Brazil also unable to defeat Benstead here, as the Brentford man had an inspired match. Just look at that for a save from Justin Skinner, and he cannot believe it. Pike providing the cross, and Skinner, however, was to have the last laugh. There were 6 minutes remaining when, from this cross come shot, Fulham finally got on the score sheet. That effort from Skinner deceiving everybody, including the inspired Benstead, and Fulham unable, however, to make progress in the Leyland DAF, going out of the competition against Mansfield in the first round. So it's back to the FA Cup now as we move into December, and Cambridge come to the cottage for the second time in 3 months. Well, by this time there could be no doubts about their pedigree. John Beck really had crafted together a good side at the Abbey Stadium. Cambridge in the all-yellow strip, having beaten Fulham 2-0 in the very first home league fixture of the season back in September. This time round, Fulham had rather more to say in the match. Leroy Rosenior was still on loan from West Ham, but at the end of the 90 minutes, Cambridge came and got the draw they were looking for, and that took the sides back to the Abbey Stadium for a replay. So at that stage, Fulham were still in the FA Cup. Back to the league, and now the visit of another side going for promotion, Bolton Wanderers here in the light blue. Bolton, who'd narrowly missed out on promotion for 2 seasons running. Fulham making a bright start then against the Wanderers. Mark Newson with a long-range effort inside the first minute. That came back off the bar. And then after a quarter of an hour, another one of those Stacey North long throws, causing problems in the defence. But the referee had blown for an infringement before Brazil put the ball into the net. In the second half then, 50 minutes gone, when this Marshall cross found Mark Kelly unmarked in the box, but his header the wrong side of the upright. And Fulham really made to pay for misses like that when Bolton scored the only goal of the game. And in the final seconds there, another miss by Skinner as it finished Fulham 0, Bolton 1. Boxing Day now, Bradford City had come down from the second division, the Bantams. Goals certainly hard to come by at this stage in the season for Fulham, despite the extended loan period of Leroy Rosenior from West Ham United. He had really failed to make the impact desired, and this match on Boxing Day, it wasn't so much of a festive occasion for the long-suffering supporters, as it finished 0-0 and really had that scoreline written over it from the first minute. In fact, Fulham only creating their first real shooting opportunity there 2 minutes before the break, thanks to Jeff Eckhart trying to scramble the ball in from the corner. The tempo stepping up a little in the second half, and a couple of fine saves from Jim Stannard on this Boxing Day afternoon that kept Fulham in the match. First time effort coming in from Martin Pike, and then another long throw from the Riverside stand into the heart of the Bradford box. Fulham hoping to work something in the final 10 moments of the match. Justin Skinner had come on as substitute, but that shot charged down from the edge of the box was to be the final action as it finished 0-0. And the final action of what had been a traumatic year for Fulham, the visit of Chester City on a very wet afternoon indeed on December the 29th. And everybody really fearing the worst when Chester had a real chance to take the lead inside the first couple of minutes. Well, despite the conditions and the lowly position of both sides in the league, this turned out to be quite a match. And it's Fulham who take the lead as play swung from end to end on the greasy surface. And it's Justin Skinner. Back header from Gordon Davis. John Marshall going close just before the break to add in a second. So Justin Skinner's 10th minute opener was the difference between the two sides. Gordon Davis, who was enjoying a fine run in the first team at this stage in the season. And Fulham looking far from relegation candidates in this match. Jeff Eckhart with a long-range effort from all of 30 yards. And thanks to that 10th minute opener from Skinner at the moment, it was Fulham who really were on top, causing all sorts of problems for Chester in the first half. Justin Skinner having an excellent game from midfield. Corner swung in by Pike on the far side. Glancing header from Stacey North that is deflected just wide of the Chester post. As we move forward then to the second half. "15 minutes gone then after the restart before Fulham finally got the second goal that had seemed a long time in coming. But what a delightful goal it was, praised after the match by Chester's manager as a goal worthy of winning a World Cup final. And a delightful chip from Peter Scott, and isn't he delighted. Steve Milton had come on as a second half substitute, and he was instrumental in setting up Fulham's third. The length of the pitch here as Fulham sweep the ball from defence to attack. The cross deflected into the path of Gary Brazil, who can't fail to hit the target there from 7 yards. And at Fulham 3, Chester 0, the home fans at last really had something to celebrate. Fulham well on their way to their biggest win of the season. Martin Pike had an excellent afternoon, close to getting on the score sheet himself there, as Chester really were run ragged in the second period. Here's Justin Skinner. His goal had started it all on 10 minutes. And there he is, putting in his second of the match and Fulham's fourth. In the second half, Justin, in fact, going very close to his first ever senior hat-trick. There's an error by the Chester keeper, which allows Steve Milton the chance to put the ball home from, well, all of 40 yards, but unable to hit the target with the keeper out of position. And this was an afternoon when Fulham could so easily have scored 6 or 7, as for once the team blended together as a cohesive unit and everybody played to their maximum ability. There's Skinner with a late effort against the inside of the post to deny him a hat-trick and really put the seal on a superb individual performance from Justin, and also a great team effort. Fulham 4, Chester 1, a great way to ring out the old year, and what all Fulham fans hoped would herald a good start, a positive start, and a table-climbing start to 1991. So as we enter the second half of the season, things were looking a little bit better. Some rays of sunshine on the horizon as Fulham still look to claw their way to safety out of the bottom 5 in positions they'd occupied from day one of the season, and certainly not out of the woods yet by any means, but looking for another 3 points here with the visit of struggling Crewe Alexandra. Fulham's away performances throughout the season were really way below par. Goals still a problem, very hard indeed to come by. And against Crewe Alexandra, Jeff Eckhart came up from the back wearing the unfamiliar number 9 jersey to show the front men just how it was done, with a goal that we clocked in the press box as 29 seconds. So that was Fulham's fastest of the season, and it's down to Jeff Eckhart in this home match against Crewe Alexandra. And you can see with the confidence booster given them by Eckhart's first minute lead that Fulham all over Crewe Alexandra in the first 20 minutes and easily could have had 2 or 3 more. A wonderful dummy there from Glenn Thomas, setting up Gordon Davis with a snapshot that goes inches wide of the far post. Gary Brazil setting up Martin Pike for a tantalising cross that John Marshall is on the end of and is just unable to keep down. So a testing afternoon here for Crewe, always chasing the game from the first minute as Glenn Thomas drives the cross in and just arriving a fraction too late at the far post. The Fulham front runners. As we move forward to the second half, Fulham really picking up the momentum from where they left off. Just to mention that this was a game which saw a rare first team appearance from Gavin Nebling, who'd missed the whole of the first half of the season and was to miss much of the rest of the second, and how sorely he was missed. But a second goal went in after Crewe had threatened to get back in the game with an equaliser 9 minutes after the break, and it didn't take Gordon Davis long to once again thread a way through the visitors' defence and restore Fulham's lead. And although Fulham made hard work of it on the afternoon, winning eventually by 2-1, it really would have been a travesty on the evidence of play had Fulham failed to take the full 3 points from the visit of Crewe Alexandra. And as we know from the end of the season, these were valuable points indeed, because come May it was between Fulham and Crewe as to who would go down into the 4th division. So let's remember both that point that was picked up at Gresty Road on day one, and also the 3 points gathered from this visit of Crewe Alexandra. The difference perhaps between Fulham's season of relative success in staying up and what would have been certain relegation. Gary Brazil feeding the ball in. Martin Pike desperately unlucky not to defeat the keeper there. Still at 2-1, remember, and Fulham once again with some delightful play. Here's Morgan providing the cross. Very unfortunate not to record a more convincing victory there, as it finished Fulham 2, Crewe 1. Leroy Rosenia hadn't proved to be the answer. His loan spell from West Ham had been terminated after the Boxing Day fixture against Bradford, and in March Fulham bought Phil Stant from Notts County. Phil here in the number 9 jersey, a man who originally made his mark at Hereford, where he scored a lot of goals, before a big money move to Notts County, which hadn't quite worked out for Phil. But he immediately won over the Fulham fans with his never-say-die attitude down the middle, and he was to contribute some valuable goals in the end-of-season run-in. Fulham here against Preston North End, who were also having a difficult time of it. We're into the second half. It always looked like a game where there was only going to be one winner, and that would be Fulham if they could find the goal that their approach play threatened. This match was played on a bitterly cold evening, as I'm sure you remember. There's Stant laying the ball off for Gordon Davis, but his effort just landing on the roof of the net. And then at last Fulham finding a way through, and the goal credited to Phil Stant, the debut boy, scoring in his first ever appearance in a Fulham jersey. A late goal it was, 20 minutes or so remaining, when the long throw from Stacey North, back-headed by Stant at the near post, deceives the Preston keeper. And Fulham on their way to another precious win and 3 more valuable points. Don't forget, at this stage in the season, the Stant goes agonisingly close to a second near the end. The Cottagers were completely unable to put any sort of form together away from home. They were yet to record an away win. It was in fact to be over 13 months between away wins for the Cottagers. It seemed as if the club simply were never ever going to win a match away from Craven Cottage in the 1990-91 season. And goal difference might well indeed have proved crucial come the end of May, so against Preston North End, Fulham missing a couple of late opportunities to really do their goal aggregate some good.
So we've got an early free kick already, a foul by the skipper of Fulham, Gavin Neveling, on Jim Steele. Now, dead ball expert Jimmy Harvey is standing over the ball. Steve Vickers has also been noted to have a crack at goal. Well, the referee says the ball's back 10 yards. I fancy Muir to shoot. And already we've got a good save out of the goalkeeper, Jim Stannard, from Ian Muir's shot, which came with only 30 seconds on the clock. Martin Pike signed for Fulham for £60,000 from Sheffield United. He's having a good game so far this afternoon, and Stant is through. He's beaten the sweeper, got a chance to Woody Nixon, and he scored. Martin Pike actually put the ball through, and the Tranmere back four was flat. Phil Stant came through and took his chance. Eric Nixon coming off his line, chipped it over Eric Nixon to score the first goal for Fulham after 13 minutes. You're being shadowed and shielded by 2 or 3 players, and played an advantage there with the referee. And Thomas has got a chance, and that was actually a save by Stannard and Jeff Eckhart, and Rovers will get their first corner of the match with less than 30 seconds remaining in this opening period. That's a very good kick, and it's one that Hughes will have to be on his guard for, but it's favoured Stant. He's turned Garnett and took a punch over the top by Eric Nixon to thwart Phil Stant. And then pressure still on for Rovers as the cross comes in. Steele misjudged his header, and it took a fine save by Eric Nixon. And a shot from Gordon Davis. Harvey inside to Morrissey. That's a great ball, and that's a great save as well.
Our thanks to our colleagues at Prenton Park for those pictures from the fixture Tranmere and Fulham. Despite the brilliant goal from Phil Stant, those elusive 3 points away from home still wouldn't come, and there were more woes to come with the visit of third division leaders Southend United at the Cottage as we move forward into spring. Fulham still very much in the danger zone, and still very much looking for all the home wins they can garner, as the side seems incapable of winning away from home. Well, Southend had their goalkeeper Paul Sansom to thank for a couple of fine saves in the opening 20 minutes or so. But then Fulham, I'm afraid, were a couple of goals down inside 20 after some poor defending from corners. And they were now chasing the game in the second half at 2 down. They might have got back into it there at the start of the second as Peter Scott's chip came back off the crossbar with Sansom beaten. Southend, who had come up from the fourth and indeed were on their way straight through the division into the second for the very first time in their history. Phil Stant finding the back of the net in the second half, but the linesman's flag was up for offside. Andy Ansar rubbing it in with the third for the leaders before the end. Fulham going down there by 3-0, and suddenly the nerve ends were really jangling. Now, next up, the visit of Reading, and Fulham's plight at the wrong end of the table, real cause for concern. Against Reading, Fulham gave a debut to keeper Tony Parks. He'd signed on a free from Brentford in exchange for Lawrence Batty, as Jim Stannard was injured. He'd had a poor game against Southend United. Well, Fulham were an early goal down at this stage in the match. They're looking to get back into it. Phil Stant, of course, prominent once again in and around the 6-yard box, looking for that long Stacey North throw. And then indeed getting his reward 4 minutes before half-time. And Phil Stant paying off another huge slice of the £60,000 transfer fee, as his goal brings the sides level. Tantalising cross from Gary Brazil at the start of the second half. Now Peter Scott. Header from Milton. Phil Stant unable to turn the ball in, and then it comes back to Pike, who blazes wide of the upright. So Stant's third goal in 5 games, but with that amount of possession that Fulham had in the second half, should have clinched the 3 points. And 2 more points dropped here in the next home match against Bournemouth, coming to the Cottage with an outside chance of making the playoffs. But it was another game, really, where Fulham allowed the away side to dictate things to them. And once again, the Cottagers were in grave danger of going down to yet another defeat. And they were still perilously close to the bottom of the 3rd division. Brian Talbot there in a Fulham shirt. He'd come to the club from West Bromwich Albion, where he'd been sacked after their FA Cup defeat by Woking, and he gets a late equaliser with 10 minutes remaining. Fulham get back into the game. 1-1 was the final score. However, with Fulham still to win away from home, it still wasn't good enough, and 3 points were desperately needed 4 days after the Bournemouth result, with the visit of Stoke City, a side who'd recently sacked manager Alan Ball in mid-table, but Graham Padden hoping to take his men through to the playoffs. Another disappointing home performance, however, from Fulham, unable to win away from home, and these are the sort of matches where they really needed to pick up the full 3 points against what has to be said was an overall modest Stoke City outfit. They'd gone a goal behind to Wayne Biggins 20 minutes from the full-time whistle. 9 minutes remaining. Phil Stant, epitomising his never-say-die attitude, goes through to hit the base of a post. Stant, as always, in the thick of the action. Gordon Davis, at this stage of the season, being used more or less as a substitute, coming off the bench. Unable to do anything there, as it finished Fulham 0, Stoke City 1. And now the relegation jitters really were upon us. We move now to the Easter programme and the visit of Mansfield Town. Well, this was a 6-pointer indeed. With Fulham continuing to drop points away from home, the visit of fellow strugglers Mansfield would more or less decide which of these two sides would face the drop into the 4th. An early Gary Brazil volley tipped over the bar by the keeper. Fulham with a free kick looking for Phil Stant. Mark Newson's in there, Stacey North is up there, Martin Pike. Earlier in the season, those shots were hitting the target. Now everything seems to be going wrong as the wheels come off the Fulham carriage. Great save from Mansfield's keeper in the second half to deny Jeff Eckhart. He'd moved up from a defensive role to play in midfield. Fulham's best chance so far falling to Phil Stant after a North long throw only half cleared. The ball played in by Newson, but Phil unable to keep the shot down. Well, the turning point of this match, and it certainly was an important point in the season in determining Fulham's fate come the end of the campaign, 68 minutes had gone when Mansfield's Kevin Gray was sent off for a second bookable offence after a foul on Jeff Eckhardt. That clearly unsettling the Mansfield side, and before they'd had time to reorganise their defence, Martin Pike plays the ball through, and Marshall, his first time cross, is slid home by Phil Stant for what was a very, very important goal. Indeed, crucial is a word much overused in sport, but that certainly was a crucial goal in Fulham's season. Fulham 1, Mansfield Town 0. Gary Brazil with a chance to wrap it up, but Fulham holding on for those 3 vital points. And now a chance to sit back and enjoy another real humdinger if the home win over Chester at the end of December was the highlight of the first half of the season, and perhaps this was the pick of the second half. A 4-0 drubbing of Shrewsbury Town, another side deep in the relegation mire, and Fulham's biggest win of the season coming in timely fashion here against Shrewsbury. Goalless at half-time it was, and Fulham in fact lucky not to be 2 down, but taking total command in the second half. The first goal there from Justin Skinner on the end of a brilliant 6-man move to volley the opener. That really spurred Fulham on. Glenn Thomas making surging runs from the back. Newson there only a fraction too high with that header from the free kick. And Phil Stant wins a tussle inside the Shrewsbury box. That Skinner shot well covered by the keeper. It was not long, however, before we had to wait for the second. A free kick from Martin Pike, misjudged by the Shrewsbury Town defence, and that was a clear handball, needlessly given away really, under no pressure, spotted by the referee, a penalty to Fulham. Gary Brazil, who'd missed a couple of very important spot kicks during the season, well, with Justin Skinner back in the side, he'd had his problems with injury and restored to the home side. Justin Skinner, who so rarely misses from the penalty spot, makes it 2. How that one stayed out, we still don't know, and we've seen that video many, many times before. But as you can see now, Fulham in total control, and Glenn Thomas, for one, having his best game of the season. Fulham's third, arriving 4 minutes from the end. Graham Baker's first-time effort and his first goal for the club. He'd come off the subs bench in the second half. He'd arrived in the summer on a free transfer from Southampton. He was another player to be dogged, however, by injury throughout the season. And there's a great run from John Marshall. Also, would you believe, looking for his first home goal of the season. Thwarted by a last-ditch tackle there, but John, not to be denied, is on the mark with the final goal of the night inside the last 2 minutes. A typical Johnny Marshall effort, finding the top corner. Finesse and real culture about that shot from John Marshall, who doesn't just blast them, picking out the top corner as we've seen him do so many times before. One of the great Fulham goals of the season, and a tremendous victory that sent the supporters home purring. Were Fulham out of the woods? Well, not yet. Along came Grimsby Town on a sunny afternoon in April. Grimsby, who were also in with the front runners, looking to go straight through Division 3 and into Division 2. Proving a stern test, Grimsby Town here for league action. The last time they'd been at the Cottage, it had been 5 to Fulham, but it certainly was a different Grimsby we saw on the afternoon. And this one finishing 0-0 in a highly entertaining game where Fulham created plenty of chances. Kelly Haig, who'd impressed with some good performances in the reserves, was back in the first team lineup and was looking to be more than a useful acquisition from near neighbours Brentford. And the home fans saw plenty of promise in his linking up with Phil Stant. That was a fine save from Jim Stannard, who's replaced Tony Parkes at this stage of the season, back in the Fulham jersey in goal. Here's Kelly once again showing a good touch on the ball. Testing centre, punched away by Steve Sherwood. Gary Brazil blazes over the bar. Now, a visit to Griffin Park is always a notable occasion, and this one certainly was, because at long last it provided Fulham with that long-awaited first away win of the season. And what a sweet moment for Kelly Haig to score against the club who released him after 17 minutes of the first half. This was a game played in a high wind, which made it very difficult for both sides. There was tremendous support from the travelling Fulham fans for this game, and Fulham really playing above themselves. Kelly Haig's opener with that sweet glancing header, and Phil Stant so close to putting a second on the score sheet for Fulham there. As we come to the break, Jim Stannard forced to make a fine save out of goal there to protect the Fulham lead. This really was a full-blooded affair, played like a cup tie. No quarter asked or given between these two West London rivals. Brentford, of course, so desperate for the 3 points themselves, as they were in the hunt for one of the promotion playoff places. And after they had got an equaliser with just 4 minutes remaining, Kelly Haig looks up, plays Phil Stant into space. He tricks Terry Evans, and his shot taking a deflection over the stranded Graham Benstead in the Brentford goal. It's Brentford 1, Fulham 2, and aren't those Fulham fans delighted? The Cottagers are just 4 minutes away from their first away league victory of the campaign. And there it is at the final whistle. A salute to those travelling Fulham fans who endured so much through the season, and there was a moment of reward for them to savour as they travelled the short distance to Griffin Park and saw the Craven Cottage side pick up the 3 points. Well, Fulham really should have capitalised on that great win at Brentford by seeing off another struggling side, Swansea City, here in the all-red. But this, after a disappointing goalless first half, sees Kelly Haig with a chance to put Fulham ahead after a neat layback from Phil Stant. And Kelly now really beginning to establish himself as a favourite amongst the Fulham fans. And that was his first home goal for the club. However, bad defending had allowed Swansea an equaliser. And then Phil Stant, after a strong run, forced wide as Fulham kept pushing forward, looking for the 3 points. And Phil almost succeeds there in squeezing the ball home from a tight angle. From the resulting corner, the ball is eventually headed back in by Skinner, and Stant unlucky with a snapshot. So those were 2 points dropped, which still meant that Fulham were certainly not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. The postponements of midwinter had thrown together 2 Fulham fixtures inside 8 days. So Fulham here against Brentford once again in April, and this the return match, with Brentford now looking for the revenge after they had gone down to defeat by 2-1 thanks to those goals of Kelly Haig and this man here, Phil Stant. And Brentford coming to the Cottage in rather more determined mood, as Benstead is out to deny Stant Fulham's best chance of a goal midway through the first half. And Brentford, in fact, taking a win there by 1-0, which did their promotion chances a world of good, but left Fulham now with a difficult away fixture at Bury.
North will put the ball back again. It's cleared by Greenough. Long-range shot from Pike, and it's gone straight in. It's gone straight in past Gary Kelly, and he mustn't have seen it. And Pike gets the equaliser. 5 minutes.
So our thanks to the video team at Bury for those pictures, and we'd also like to thank the crew down at Exeter City for providing us with footage of this match between Exeter and Fulham, and it was Fulham who could have been a goal down inside the first 5 minutes. Jim Stannard making a fine save from Rowbottom, and Fulham knowing that victory here would ensure their third division safety, and the only goal coming on the half hour when Stant was clean through, brought down by the Exeter keeper, and it resulted not just in a penalty for Fulham but also a red card. Miller is sent off for a professional foul, the referee having no alternative then but to dismiss the luckless Exeter man. Striker Gordon Hobson went in goal, dons the green jersey, but he can't keep out Justin Skinner's pot kick. He keeps his cool, places the ball into the corner of the net on the right hand side, and Fulham are ahead. Now there's confusion in the Exeter ranks as Hobson and defender get in a tangle, but Gary Brazil, with a great chance to add a second, takes the ball past Hobson and fires over an open goal. Fulham continuing to put 10-man Exeter under enormous pressure. A move involving Brazil and Pike, and Stant's header bringing an incredible save from stand-in keeper Hobson. Pike really running the Exeter defence ragged at times. Another of his crosses sees Stant blasting over the bar from close range. But with the minutes ticking by, Fulham's hearts really were in their mouths as Rowbottom's effort strikes the underside of the bar. It bounced clear and finished Exeter 0, Fulham 1, the second away victory of the season, and it meant that Fulham could come to the Cottage for the last game of the season against Leyton Orient. And although they could technically be caught on points by Rotherham, Fulham having a far superior goal difference. So for once, the fans and the players could relax in this, the last game against neighbours Leyton Orient. Well, the game turned out to be a highly entertaining affair. Jim Stannard making a couple of brilliant saves early in the first half. Fulham coming back strongly there, Marshall's cross, and Gary Brazil bringing out the best from Heald. A Jeff Eckhart header beaten away by Heald again, and then Stant firing in the loose ball but shooting over a crowd of players. Now Justin Skinner starts a brilliant move inside his own half, and then as Stant looks up, his cross into the box, looking for Skinner but just failing to steer the shot home. There's the old maestro himself, Johnny Haynes, at half-time, had come down from Scotland, and that must have given the Fulham side a tremendous lift, looking to overcome a 1-0 deficit at the break. And I'm sure that Johnny would have been impressed with Phil Stant there, as his shot just skims the bar soon after the restart. Peter Scott gets into the action after a Pike free kick is cleared back to the midfield man. And Fulham fashion an equaliser. It comes in quite dramatic fashion when Gary Brazil, who'd come on as substitute, goes crashing in the box. And Udo Onweri, who'd made his first team debut just a month previously in the home fixture against Grimsby Town. Just 17 years old, Udo showing real composure from the spot kick. He just replaced Justin Skinner. He volunteered to take that kick, and no problems there as he beats Heald, and Fulham have an equaliser. The final word, however, goes to Jim Stannard, who near the end pulled off another brilliant stop. And as the curtain comes down on the season, that match finishing Fulham 1, Leyton Orient 1. So it's a season that those hardy Fulham supporters will really not wish to dwell on for too long. They'll put that behind them. We hope the side will as well. And we look forward to you joining us for more great games at Craven Cottage over the coming 9 months. Thanks very much indeed for buying this Goals of the Season video. Don't forget we'll be at every home game over the coming season, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. From the whole New Sonic team for now, it's bye-bye.